Greetings, comrades. My name is Gigantles, and as you can see from the title of this video, there's a couple of things I'll be talking about in this week's video. Apologies if my voice sounds funny and if I cough. I've still got the thing in my throat for some reason. Anyway, so there's two things I'm going to be talking about. The first thing, I might as well just get it out the way. I've told you before how I'm having problems with ants in my accommodation because actually, wait, yeah, I forgot. I actually did record the kitchen when I was cooking in there last week. I'm gonna put up the videos to show. I'm gonna put up the videos that I took of the kitchen to show you just how messy it is. But with a kitchen like that, you can imagine what the rest of the accommodation is like, and that's the reason why I've got ants in my accommodation. I do what I can to keep them out of my room, or at least I try. They at one point, I think I said this before, they at one point tried to colonize my plants, so I've had to surround them with water, I've had to put tape over all the cracks and stuff, and the latest development, as you can see from the title of the video, is that they're in my walls. And that's because over the last few weeks, I've noticed that in a number of places around my apartment, it looks like there are cracks appearing in the paint, and I've actually been seeing ants coming out of those, so I've had to go around a tape to basically seal all that up. And flip, man, like, it's just so many ants. I mean, I know that ants reproduce quickly, but there's just so many ants, it's irritating. Like, I'm working at my computer, and every 5 minutes I see an ant crawling across the table, and I have to squish it and wash my hands. But it's just irritating now. And I wish there was a long-term solution to this, but ultimately I don't see one unless I actually leave this accommodation, and that's not until like mid next year when I finish my 4th year at university. But the main thing about this video, the main topic, is this thing. I'm not sure. Well, maybe I'm not sure how I worded the video, but it's probably something along the lines of diagram of biblical contradictions. in like high in quotation marks. And the reason why is because of let me show you I'll show you the original image first. So this image that you're currently looking at, I think it's only 66 books it takes into account, but it's one of several different types of diagrams showing all of the references in the Bible it has within itself. Because the Bible is several dozen books written by a number of authors. Okay, there's many different authors. Yeah, okay, a few dozen authors. And every single one of those lines is a reference that the later books of the Bible make to the earlier books. And there's a number of these various diagrams like this going around. This one is the most popular. Now, last night, I guess maybe a couple of days ago by now for you guys, I was looking around on Google Images about biblical references, and I saw this one, which apparently had biblical contradictions. And it's in a similar style to the diagram showing all the biblical references, but it has them apparently showing contradictions. There's actually two versions of this diagram. The first one is the image itself, which is just a diagram, and then the second one is a website that apparently has not just that, but it also has a bunch of bars at the bottom saying how many books have violence, how many are misogynistic or whatever. And I was busy looking, one about scientific absurdities, and I was just looking through this. I was looking through this website and going, I'm gonna guess this guy has no clue what he's talking about when he says biblical contradictions and stuff. And I was right, because I actually found a Christian website. Apparently, it couldn't refute him in its entirety because there were simply too many references. But it gave a taste of the sort of content that he was producing and why it was flawed. And I was looking through a bunch of the other references myself, and I can tell you that my hand's shaking, sorry. Anyway, and I can tell you that after looking at his website, of the website and the biblical contradictions thing, it's all fake. Okay, it's not fake. It's all out of context or misunderstood. Because I was looking through the references, and there was some talking about how, I think the example that the Christian website took was, where did Moses receive or give the law? And some people said and some quotes in the Bible said it was at Mount Sinai, some say it was on the mount, some say it was in Horeb, and they countered this by saying, yeah, well, the mount is clearly Mount Sinai, and Mount Sinai is in Horeb. Now that's another discussion entirely. I could talk about where Mount Sinai is in another video. But the references I was looking at were describing stuff like, if no one can see God, how come they can see Jesus or something like that? So, all these Old Testament quotes of, we can't see God, and then all the New Testament quotes of, God is with us. Stuff like that. And I was looking through all this content, and I was thinking, maybe I should make a series about this in the future. But that's not... I've got a lot of stuff in my workload right now. I've got coursework due next week, and I've got coursework due in a couple of weeks. And the other pieces of coursework I've got coming out over the next few months because it's my 4th year at university. So I can't increase the volume of material I'm going to be posting on my channel or on my Facebook page, but I do intend to cover these biblical contradictions at some point in future. In fact, on my Facebook page, something the sort of schedule I want to have, especially after next year, at the beginning of next year, is I'll be having it's on a schedule. So 1 week I'll post like a funny meme or something, like about the Catholic faith or something to refute. I'll have part of a long-running series going on, like my biblical chronology series, and then I'll have a shorter series, almost like a refutation series, such as the lay pope. It's similar to what I used to do on my channel back when I did a lot of gaming videos, and like 3 a week. There were two videos a week I'd make for a long series like Outlast and SCP Containment Breach or Doki Doki Literature Club, and then I'd have one video about a shorter game like Not Everything is Flammable. So I do intend to cover their biblical contradictions at some point in future. Maybe when I finish my biblical chronology, maybe I'll touch on it in a bit every now and then on my channel if the need arises to. But I do aim on countering all these biblical contradictions. And and if the biblical contradictions website, if I remember it correctly, I think I don't know why I'm doing this actually. Sorry. If I remember it correctly, I think they were actually quoting for something from Maccabees, which could mean that maybe the biblical critics are actually honest enough to admit that the Deuterocanonicals are part of the legitimate canon of Scripture. But the whole point about this is that I have a plan for another long-term series in future. After my biblical chronology series, I'll have one about biblical contradictions, and I may touch on it every now and then if for specific parts on my channel. But I do intend to cover it because ultimately all of these contradictions are just misunderstandings of theology or things taken out of context. And I also aim to cover the other stuff, such as the scientific absurdities and the misogyny stuff or the violence. I will cover all that. Don't worry about it. Just know that that you have nothing to fear about these accusations against us, because they can all be refuted or explained one way or another. But that's it pretty much for this video. So, hands in my walls, and I'll have a plan for a long series in future on my Facebook page about countering biblical contradictions. So you guys can look forward to that and know that the Bible, if there are any errors in it, it's just translational, and even then they serve purposes. But otherwise, in terms of theology and stuff, nothing to worry about at all. You can all have a good, strong faith, and I'll teach you how to defend it. But that's it pretty much for this week. So God bless you all. See you in the next video, comrades. Until then.